Okay, fam, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over a quick market update. So with that being said, let's get it. All right, so the Nasdaq once again is just completely getting beat down into the dust. I don't know why this is. It could be because of the recent Trump tariffs on, I think it's automakers or something like that, 25% tariffs. I'm not really sure. I haven't taken a look at the news this morning yet, so I'm not fully aware of what's going on just yet, but I suspect it's probably something to do with tariffs. It could be anything else. It's anyone's guess at this point, or it could also be that on the 2nd, we're supposed to have this Liberation Day from the Trump administration again. The markets, they don't really know if Trump's just going to come out and slam everything in existence with 25% tariffs or what to expect at this point. So it could very well be a sell the rumor, buy the news kind of event. Because again, the conversations about tariff have kind of stricken a lot of fear into the markets. And if Trump and his cabinet, for whatever reason, come back and decide to reverse their decision, or, it's not as bad as it appears or whatever, the markets may start to get bought up. So one of the reasons why I think this is because, this recent sell-off we've been getting, albeit we kind of sat at the top for a while, which appeared to be distribution, and it was, is still very, very aggressive in terms of a sell-off. This is like light speed kind of sell-off. Sell-off should not be this fast. So, and the other reason why I think it may be a sell the rumor buy the news is because we haven't actually had a real relief rally. I would not call this a relief rally. I suppose it's decent, but 7% is that's nothing. We didn't even get 2 weeks of greens. So just 1 week and it was barely green at all. So I'm thinking likely, we could get a retest of the lows and then push higher. We could always go to new lows afterwards for some kind of final capitulation before recovering. It's hard to say at this point, but we'll just have to keep an eye on it. So, but it's pretty oversold. We're nearly getting oversold on the weekly. So how much longer this is going to last? I don't think it's going to be that much longer. Okay, so TSLL still looking kind of choppy. Again, the bump and run pattern is expected to play out here. The question is, when are we going to get above this trend line? The EMAs of the trend line are lining up perfectly, and then you have this trend line above head. But once it breaks out from 12, it should push pretty hard up into 15. Again, you guys can see it's gotten rejected a couple of times right around that trend line. So still keeping a close eye on that. Everything in the markets today is red, or just about everything. It's disgusting. It's really disgusting. We do have some silver and copper though, so it's nice to see those prices elevated because we could always, take some profit on those if we wanted to. Probably won't do it, but I don't think I ever told you guys this, but back during the pandemic days in 2020, we were actually buying copper bullion back then. I know it sounds ridiculous. You're like, oh, why would you buy copper? So we bought it at $2 an ounce, but looking back, we were like, well, there's all these future technological advancements like robots and automated driving. And, you're talking about like space exploration and God knows what else, right? So my guess is probably a lot of that is going to require copper. And the more of it you use, the more of it gets sucked out of supply. And eventually when the demand is just going through the stratosphere and you get less of something, it tends to go up in value, right? Kind of like Bitcoin. So it turns out, looking back 4 or 5 years, we were actually right. Kind of wish we had bought more, but it is what it is. So you guys can go back and look at the price for yourself back then. We bought during the crazy sell-off we saw in 2020. So everything's still looking quite bearish here. You can see the 50 and 200-day moving averages is still quite low. Okay, so we got a cash secured put on TSLL put on for $9 today. Again, it's the best time to do this to increase the premiums is always on down days, and for calls, it's always on up days. We could have done calls, but the premiums are good, but we have other plans. We're not really planning on doing cover calls right now, so we'll talk about that when it makes sense to talk about it. So, anyways, so everything else is still the same. Portfolio's gotten absolutely beat down again, but again, more dip buying opportunities, right? So we got rid of NVDY. We'll talk about that later this weekend. It was never going to be a long-term hold of ours. We already went over the 20 positions we plan on starting with the long-term dividend portfolio. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but NVIDIA was not part of that. But, some of you guys may not have paid attention to the subtleties that I was trying to point out to you. So GPIQ, bought more GPIQ this morning, still down, still getting kind of crushed. That's fine. I mean, this is a long-term play. So another 4.45 shares here. Again, emails, we were going to buy this one. Okay, I don't know what the hell that was. Sorry about that, y'all. It's kind of acting weird right now. So anyways, let's go back to this real quick. Where is it? GPIQ. So we're at 50 shares, which again is not really that much. I mean, we're not really buying that much. We could easily get up to 100, 200 shares today if we wanted to. We just kind of want to be patient and persistent with this. So 4.5 shares here. We're at 50 shares now, which based on the most recent distribution should equal about $20 a month. But again, the dividends probably will go up when the price of this thing goes back up. So it's almost like getting free money for just buying the dip. I know it's almost sounds a little conceited to say it like that, but it's true. So TSLL, still kind of chopping around that $10 area. We were only down like $800 before, but again, of course, the market's trying to take a double dip right now, so that's fine. We bought another 5 shares and also put on a cash secured put, $51 in premiums here, and you can see we bought just below $10. Of course, it went lower, right? Always happens after we buy it. We buy right about roughly at about the open, but recently it's just been selling off throughout the day, so it kind of sucks, but whatever, is what it is. So last thing I want to say here about the Nasdaq, and I'm aware that everybody's like, oh good, everything's going to zero. I don't think it's going to zero, guys, but look, I told you this, I think last week. Okay, it was last week or the week before that or something like that. This is even more aggressive than the August sell-off that we had, but I'm pretty sure I told you guys it was either last week or the week before. I can't remember exactly when. I got to go back and really go back in time here to look at this with y'all. This is starting to look more like the 2020 sell-off than the 2024 August dump, okay? And again, I'm aware we have not dropped as hard as significantly as we currently are. Looking back in those days, it was like minus nearly 33% on the Nasdaq in a matter of 6 weeks, right? But it's looking very much like that. So I want to point out to you guys, as soon as we got oversold on the weekly time frame on the RSI down here, that was pretty much it. Okay, the market was done, and then it recovered, and it went on some crazy, insane, nearly 2-year-long bull run. And then we had the 2022 pullback, right? Another bear market, and then another 2-year-long bull run. You kind of see what I'm getting at here, right? So, closing below this channel, not great. Again, I already told you guys what the target for that was. It would technically be all the way down here at 16,400. Do I think it's going to go that low? I mean, it's possible. It kind of depends on what Trump does on the 2nd, I suppose, in the upcoming data we get. But as of right now, I'm not willing to say it's going to go that low. But the technicals do support it. I will just say that. So the last thing I wanted to say here is, as aggressive as these markets have been selling off, you have to understand one thing about this. The markets are like a rubber band, like a slingshot, okay? When the price pulls back too far in one particular direction, it's bound to reverse just as quickly, if not more aggressively, in the opposite direction, okay? You can think of it like a pump and dump in penny stocks or crypto, right? If it goes to the moon and it goes up 5,000% in 2 hours, well, it's probably going to go down 5,000% in 2 hours too, or even faster. Same thing here. The markets are pulling back extremely fast. I think it's based on the research I did, it's the 5th fastest sell-off in history in the stock market. And the stock market has been around for like 300 years. This is number 5 in terms of speed. Okay, so it's extremely fast. So even though it's selling off aggressively, it's probably going to rebound just as aggressively when we see it. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.